Something that hasn't been developed.
Such a big crowd, can y'all hear me?
I know it hasn't.
If, I'm reminded this is being recorded, so if you prefer to go to Sunday school and watch it later, you're welcome to later. If not, please stay here, join me as we talk about some plans for this year's council, give you a little outlook of what our goals are, and talk about an amazing thing that has happened, which means that instead of requesting that you give us more money, we have more money to spend. So it is an excellent, excellent meeting. So everybody, let's say, praise God! And this congregation's great generosity. Thank you very much. We'll talk more about it in a minute. Okay, just a quick overview of who is on your council this year, in case you do not know. I'm Becky Reed, I'm the president. This tells you the chair we sit on. I'm on endowment. We have David Martin with us today. You guys all know him. He is on Faith Formation and he is serving as vice president this year. We have Chad Levert, who is on social outreach and is also our wonderful secretary. And we have Louise Pyle, who has agreed to become our treasurer this year. Let's give her a round of applause. The treasurer, Lori, was just so busy that the duties of treasurer were more important duties were falling upon our bookkeeper. So Louise will be in the process of learning what all she needs to do. So we're very thankful to have her on board. We have Sheer Atkins, who will represent the school. We have Betty Bradley, who, with Bob Fallis, who is here today, will be on fellowship and congregational care. The committee met this week looking to separate those two committees back into individual committees. And we will be, stewardship will be focusing on those two committees during the Easter season this year, so you can learn more about what they do and their importance in our congregation. We have Dusty Knight, who's in Florida right now, is on worship. Wayne Prescott, who is in Galveston right now on stewardship, and Robert Womack on property. So that is your church council for this year. Did you go to sleep? Okay, I got nothing.
You can tell jokes.
David, you want to come up to it?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody know how to fix it? I'm coming. No, okay. These are, oh, you did take it. They say I have the goals on here, but you might want me. Council met on a Saturday in January at the home of Phyllis and Wayne Prescott, and it's called a retreat. We didn't spend the night or anything. We just got together, got to know each other a little better, and Dusty led us to come up with our goals. He's done this process for the past 3 years. Every year I've been on council, and it's very moving experience. It really helps you to look inside and find things that are important to you. And what's important to the whole group, which we feel with our diversified group this year, what is important to the whole congregation. So this is our first goal. You can read it. Do you want me to read it for you? I'm used to reading the chart, but I don't typically like it. A lot of us feel that our Lutheran traditions are very important. And we feel that maybe some things we don't understand, and maybe there are things that people coming in new to our congregation, into being Lutheran, don't understand. So we are looking at ways to really dive into what it means to be a Lutheran. Look at the traditions, look at the parts of the worship. So this is one that will be headed by Pastor Harold, Dusty, and David. And then I'm assuming that later we will probably give this to a committee to help out too. Something we haven't done yet, but we usually do. Y'all have any questions on that one? Anybody interested in learning more about Lutheran traditions? I did, and And I've been a lifelong Lutheran, but there's some things I really look up constantly to find out why we do that. The second goal we came up with was we would like to create a giving, or a waiting for God fund. The council would like to create this fund. The committees and the small groups have kind of, their budgets have been very limited with what we've experienced in the past couple of years, starting with COVID. And we don't want money to limit what they want to do. So we would like to create a fund, find the money for this, put it in a fund, come up with criteria, and let people request money out of this fund, as long as they can meet the criteria, the council will approve it. So I really like this idea a lot, and since we have a surplus, it is something that we could honestly look at this year. When we made this goal, we were thinking, let's get the groundwork down, but now we're thinking we could go beyond and actually partially, at least in part, maybe fund this. So that is our second goal. You guys have any questions? Don't be shy. Y'all are too quiet. I'm not used to being this quiet group of people, even though it's not very full. Okay, we want to make sure that we are reaching everybody we would like to reach, which is everybody, and doing it effectively. So kind of looking over what all we use to reach out, maybe streamlining some things, maybe doing away with some things, maybe combining things, maybe doing more things. And this includes reaching out into the community. This one is led by Pastor Lisa, me, and Betty. We have not started work on this yet. And I do not know what committee would be involved on it yet either. David, Robert, and Betty are heading this one, and I know that David and Robert have already started on this. Establish ways to recognize individuals and groups at St. Peter's, as well as community leaders and organizations to show our gratitude. This would be showing gratitude to people within our church, which we kind of started last year with one of our goals, expanding upon this and maybe doing things more out in the community. You know, perhaps like providing a meal for the firefighters, reaching out into our community to those who serve and doing little things we can do to help them. So that's what we hope to expand that into within our church, but also outside of our church. David, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Not specifically, but I would, our thought with the fellowship hall and with the new fellowship hall, everybody's monetary donations and efforts toward it. I think it's time that we kind of thank ourselves inwardly on everything we've done monetarily, but with our efforts and time and talents to make this church what it is. I think it's sometimes nice to look inward and thank each other and recognize the efforts that we've made. I like to do that this year.
Yes, we really agreed that we felt like the entire congregation would really like to use this space. Because when we decided to do it, our plan was to use it as ministry within and without. And in case you didn't know, we already have the community van, thanks to Carol bringing them here to check it out. They meet here every Thursday. And so there we have one organization meeting in this space every Thursday night. It's very, very nice to be able to share this space and not have it sit here empty all week long. And that's the kind of things we're looking for. We really love to share this space with groups. We've also updated our facilities agreement. It's not passed before council yet, but PB gave the draft to us at pre-council meeting. A few little tweaks, we'll bring it before the council. It'll be much easier, Carol. It's 2 pages. Carol had to fill out a very long, drawn-out document that was definitely outdated to get this space for the van. And it's updated, it's modeled off of some of the other, got some ideas from some of the other churches, how they handle their space. And it's short and concise. It'll come before council at our next meeting later this week. So we're kind of excited about that. This kind of goes with what we already said, where we're really looking at our communication more. This one focuses more on communication than the other one. How to improve our visibility, reaching out more so than inside.
Becky?
Yeah.
I noticed in the bulletin this morning, and I know it's been there forever, but are we comfortable with the QR codes all over to sign up for things? And, I mean, there must have been 6 of them in the bulletin this morning, and I'm not sure that all of our members feel comfortable with QR codes. Are we just assuming that this is the way we should?
I can't answer to that. It is a very simple way. I know we put out information on how to access.
It's only
the QR.
simple if you have any kind of relationship with technology.
Agree, Miss Elizabeth.
I always agree. I've harped on this for quite some time, that there needs to be an alternative way to sign up. Not just the QR code, put a phone number or say call the office or
Yeah, so
some other method.
this was the method to sign up for desserts for Little Island Meals. For instance, I'm thinking there might be a shortage of desserts.
I hear you, because most of the people that are going to provide those desserts may not be able to figure out how to use that QR.
Exactly.
Or don't choose to.
Right.
Or just choose to.
hate,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't, for me, communication is what we're doing right now. And I hate all the mechanics of sending my communication into the ether.
And these are people that aren't going to tell you that, they're just not going to do it.
You are absolutely correct, I'm sure. I see PB making a note about that right now as we're talking.
So I think that applies though across a lot of things. I mean, I'm computer literate, I use the computer for everything. But I guess I don't like the idea of having to, I'm in this mode of reading, learning, understanding, and then then I gotta go over here, direct, and then I start over, and then I'm directed over here. And I don't know, maybe I am 73 years old and a little bit tired of that stuff, but I
What would
believe
you like
that,
to see?
but I believe that the technology should be used, but it's not always a good way to
Reach it.
read it and learn and
It
digest
should be on
it.
And to learn out, to reach out to everybody.
Isn't the only way, because I hardly ever use the QR codes myself.
Well, look at the bulletin today.
Okay,
You'll see
haven't
how
been
many
to church
times
yet, so-
that we have to do that to.
And all
find
it
out
gives you
this
is the QR code, no
box.
options.
No options, no. If you want to find out what committees you could join, or if you want to find out, like I mentioned, the desserts.
Actually, the other day, I was several weeks ago, trying to figure out who was on the council now. I couldn't find a printed list anywhere. So I went to the QR code and it was not updated. So it had last year's.
That, all that information falls directly into this goal, It's something that we really need to take apart and look at. What do you suggest, Elizabeth?
I'm a dinosaur, I'm not sure you want to know what I'm saying. No, I really, I don't know because I haven't thought about it. I just am annoyed every time I look at it all. But, and I can think about it and I will. But I know we need to relate to the rest of the world in the ways that are common and accepted now. But we are also God's family. And God didn't put us here only to communicate through, well, I don't even remember what they're
Square
called.
things.
Oh, square things that, they're square things out. And that's one of the things that concerns me about us. We don't talk to each other, in my opinion, as much and as meaningfully as we might in this congregation. And I don't know, communication, yes. And if anybody wants to know what I think, I'll be glad to share it at another time. But I really believe God's family is meant to talk face to face to each other. You can't see body language. You can't see expressions in a barcode. It's just a simple, easy way to get things done and think they're getting done. And I'm not sure they are.
I'd like to say something. It's a wonderful time we're in right now that we're not dealing with COVID anymore.
Yes.
And COVID started moving everybody more toward communicating with technology. But I think technology should be used to supplement and to aid, but not to replace. I agree with you 100%. And one of the things that we need to do is involve more people in the the programs of the church. Right now, we have two committees that are serving as one committee, and we're looking for somebody to chair actually, the Congregational Care Committee is what we're looking for a chair for. These two committees will be working with Wayne and Chad and myself on communications of just the type that we're talking about right now. And Becky's doing a wonderful job. This meeting today is a good beginning and also a continuation of good communication between the congregation and the council. And maybe we'll get more people to the next one. Maybe.
Hopefully they'll watch the recording.
These ideas are wonderful.
But that's not recording it, yes, but that's just another example of what we've been talking about. You know, if I can stay home and listen to it, and I'm not saying we should do that, because there are people who need it, who appreciate it, and for them, it is the way that they do communicate. But we should not assume, as they keep saying, always need an alternative way, because the alternative way for me is the most important.
Okay. Any other comments on this goal?
I could relate to that comment because I've been spending the last few days trying to get my mother set up on streaming service. She's in Oklahoma, she's 92 years old, and her eyes are bad, and all she needs to do is enter that password, and she'll have service so they can watch the Super Bowl with her. But we just can't seem to get over that. Because
Face ID.
Yes. Then colleagues one for help besides her son is probably really difficult to get a human instead of AI or bot. Okay, thank y'all. And you have to understand that if you really have any opinions on these goals or some input you would like to give, that we are totally open to your input because we're here to serve you.
And how are we supposed to present that?
You know,
I did.
you know,
One of my sons was here last weekend to do exactly that with me, and I was just pushing it. Mom, why are you using that tone? What tone? I know what tone. So, and I don't mean that, sarcastically. What are the ways for us to communicate what we might have to add to the council? And what I've heard is, just talk to anybody. But how do you go about going to the council with an issue you might have? Or is that even an option?
I would assume you're going to have to talk to someone. It doesn't have to be face to face. We don't have a QR code for you, but
But I mean,
Could you do something as simple as a suggestion box in the office?
I guess we could.
Or
But that's pretty, if people don't tend to put their names on that.
Or could one of the council members occasionally give an update at church in the ministry moment about what their committee is doing? We get to see their face, their name, they're talking to us, and that's an opening.
That is a good idea.
And I think you're talking about stewardship, what you guys are doing during the Easter season. What do you think
Stewardships, I think
that-
I hit on it a little bit. Stewardship's plan for the Easter season, which means we won't be doing it on Easter with the ministry moment, but the following 5 Sundays, with the exception of the Worship in the Park Sunday. We're going to highlight the committees. And we're not going to be they're not going to come in front of you and say, we need feet on the ground, we need people. They're going to try to be inspiring and let people know this is what our committee does. Giving information about the committees and hopefully sparking a little interest and getting more people involved because they want to be, not because they feel obligated to be. I do like the idea of council having a ministry moment at least every 6 weeks, every 2 months maybe, just to tell you about what's going on. Because I agree with you, when I wasn't on council, I really didn't know what's going on.
So Becky, could you go back to goal number 2? I want to kind of see what all of them were before I comment.
Let's see, I can. Okay. This one? Yeah, that's. Which this is number 2. Let me go back and look through, see, this is number 1. Was this look through traditions. Number 2 was creating
What's the third one then?
the third one.
All right, so it's goal number 2. So go back one.
That one, yeah.
So totally support the idea of funding, the ideas of the various committees. Maybe in 2018, we were just a little bit premature in trying to do that. We had set aside a fund for each committee to engage and feel like they had some funds to activate their committee and do things. I think one of the things is just not having the money, but it's also having that connection between the council liaison and the committee itself to make that process happen. So I think it's a fantastic goal. Just there's a couple of dynamics that have to work there. What I'd like the council to consider is how to expand that goal just a little bit. It says look for methods to fund needs and ideas for the groups. But I think they have to look beyond just the committees, but to look at how we're going to do that for our entire congregation. Meaning that we don't have rental property anymore, and that back years ago was a method of trying to fund some of our budget. And we need to expand beyond looking for that. I know it's given, but we have to think about how to invest and grow along that way. So where can other funds be generated to support the ministry? Is that through legacy type programs and things like that?
That's very, very good.
It just needs to be an emphasis because it's, I mean, we had a fantastic year this past year. It all happened in 4 weeks or 5 weeks. And so how do we continue that into the years we go forward?
And again, that is just in its infancy. And we are not thinking of taking the committees, if the committee's already funded through the budget, we're not going to take that money away and just do this. We're still planning on putting the committees in the budget, but this would be above and beyond, and there's no reason why it would only have to be a committee thing.
And one of the goals with it was to try to inspire creativity in the congregation. To have a way for if someone has an idea of something that they want to try to accomplish to benefit the mission of our congregation, then we wanted them to have an avenue to let us know what that is, to try to be able to have a place to provide funding to start something like that. Because sometimes there's seeds of ideas that just don't have a way to take off because there's no process for it. And so that was part of this.
Exactly.
It's not just
the money.
allow the existing committees to ask for additional money, but it is a way for if somebody in the congregation feels called to do something, we wanted to be able to support that.
Yeah, so we have to look at our budget, we have to look at the restricted funds, which is somebody, the budget committee knows what that is. But the idea is those funds continue to grow in certain areas. So the youth is setting aside funds for the convention that happens every 3 years, or this committee has this goal that's going to take a period of time to achieve. Those funds need to be there. And some are just, those restricted funds are just little, only holding points for 6 weeks or 6 months. And so it has to change a little bit as we go forward.
Okay, any other comments on this goal? Can we go back to where we were? Okay, those were the 5 goals. As far as reaching out to council, anyone, I'm available to you. You can email me. I will get all that out to you. I will send you our personal emails, and you are welcome to talk to any one of us that you are comfortable with. I'm usually at early service, so today I'm a little bit late. And we can't sit here and talk about things forever because we do have church to go to. But, I'm available face to face if it's important to you to be face to face.
I'll second that motion.
What I wanted to know is if there is an issue that is of importance to an individual or to a group, can we request, or I request, or anybody request to be that it be an item on the agenda to be spoken to by the people who are concerned at a council meeting. I agree, talking to individuals is great, but if I'm gonna go beyond that, which I do,
We have a
right
pre,
now.
we have a pre-council meeting, which is kind of like executive meeting for the council to establish what is on the budget. So as long as I'm, the budget's on my mind, what is on the agenda? And that includes the pastors and David and myself. So if one of us knows, we would bring it to the pre-council meeting.
That's fine, that's all I know.
Yeah. Anything else before we talk about this stuff?
I'd like to talk about this stuff.
Good. Okay,
Not
updating,
necessarily.
updating the church constitution. The constitution was updated when Lynn was president, before Lynn was president. And somehow,
Whatever.
it's all, she was on council, it was all approved by the congregation, you know, because it's done every 3 years or so. And somehow it got lost in the shuffle, and through all the codes and stuff, I guess. So Wayne is on our council, and he is a lawyer and very much wanting everything to be on the up and up. So he has discovered that, you know, we need to update it because it is out of date. And mainly it's all verbiage, because if you're familiar with any organization, including the church that has somebody above it, they write the Constitution, they send it to you, you adjust yours to fit their wording.
Becky,
Yes?
it's hard to hear.
Okay. Did y'all get what I just said? Okay, see, my husband needs hearing aids worse than me. Anyway, so that's the main thing. There are certain things in there where we have leeway as a church. And there are certain items that we need to update because they are back in 2017, especially financially. So we will be looking at that, coming up with a draft. And of course, you know that has to be approved by the congregation. So it will come before you to look at and see and have any questions answered for you. So that is just what that's all about. That's why we're having to update the Constitution. End of year financial update, which relates to the surplus. We saved money this year. Some ways not so good because we lost Scott. So that saved us a quarter, almost a full quarter of his salary. We overestimated what our insurance was going to be, which was a good thing. That gave us a little extra. And the entire staff was very, very frugal this year and really worked to follow the budget. It might have gone over on one line, but it was under on another, and all of that led to savings in expenditures. Then we have a great deal more giving than was anticipated in the budget. The budget committee was very, very frugal on that budget because of what had happened in the past, so rightfully so. They went with a 94% of what we thought we would get, and we got way beyond that. We had 2 very generous donations in the spring. One was from a person who was not a member. We had extremely generous giving in November and especially December, like chart topping. So through this, we have a very nice surplus in our budget. The line looking in between what we spent and what was given is like, I believe, around $98,000. So that is a very, very large sum. And it really touches my heart how generous our congregation is. You don't usually see someone go from, please help us to meet budget, to wow, we have $98,000 where we thought. And that is just a testament to you guys and God working through you for the betterment of this church and our community and our world for that matter. So it is great, but it's also a big responsibility again. But it's a better responsibility to have. What do we do with this extra money? Council is seeking advice from a budget team that has met once, and now it's going to be a smaller group. And our plan is to make it tribal. We want to give because we feel the need to give. God led you to give this money. Many people want this money at work. So we want to give some. We need to spend some. We need to spend some for that same reason. We need to spend to advance the mission of our church. not just here in walls, but outside the church. And we need to save, because we've been hit hard through the COVID years and beyond, and really totally exhausted almost these funds. So we started building it back up, and we realized that we don't want to be too low on those. And we have a long way to go. Even if we put all of this money into our funds, we still probably would not be meeting where we need to be. So we don't feel we need to put it all in there. It's a trifold attack, so to speak, with how to best use the money that has been given generously to us by the congregation. So, according to Wayne, and he is a lawyer, he told me that whatever we come up with does not have to be detailed, does not need to change line item budget, but it does need to come before you. And I totally agree with that. I would like you to know before we want to spend the money that you've given to us for. And yes, you will need to approve it. Now, it's not going to say, we're going to spend $100 here, we're going to spend $50. It's not going to be that detailed, but it will at least let you know, what are we looking to give? And where are we looking to give some of this to? And I know a lot of people have opinions on that. I don't know, but I would assume it would be run sort of like how we don't run the budget. I would assume we would have a meeting where we would be open for questions. We would show it to you and say, what do you think? Do you have input? And then it would come before you for a vote. Much like the budget, I would assume that is the process. Understand, this is not my strength. But I have a lot of people that are on the team with me in council and a great budget committee team that will help us figure out all the little ends that I might be missing right now. Do you guys have any response or questions toward this?
The only thing I'd say, because I'm the person, and this is the person we have worked with the Constitution the last 2 times it was revised, and there is an amount in the Constitution over which the council or no small group can spend without approval from the congregation. So it's not, it's there.
Right, but it's 1%.
Well, whatever.
That would be like $5,000. We have 90 something.
Oh, I understand that.
Oh, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
All I'm saying is that, yes, I know.
Right.
I know we'll know, and I
Yes.
know we'll approve.
Yes,
But it's structured in there also that it shall be that way, as well as, of course, it's gonna be that
Yes,
way.
yes. And we do have leeway to spend some of the money without directly coming to you, but it's not a large amount. So I'm just very much wanting to be out the open with it. And I really am interested in what you all want to say. And it's not just the people in this room either. Everybody. And I'm hoping you guys are listening to the recording when I say everybody. All right, do you guys have any other questions or comments on this?